Are conference championships actually hurting the current college football playoff format? Let's talk about it. Right now, there is so much controversy, so much drama surrounding the final college football playoff rankings. And the reason being is because we are debating over some teams that got in that didn't play a conference championship game and some teams that did play a conference championship game and lost. BYU, Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami. There's a lot of drama surrounding these conference title games. And I've been wondering to myself ever since yesterday, are they actually hurting the product? And let me explain. The college football regular season is extremely long, and I understand that not every conference is created equal. But for the most part, you play this rigorous regular season, you mostly play your rivals, and then you get to the end of the regular season and your reward is an additional game. Now, the argument for conference championship games is money, but really, the argument is, well, you get another opportunity to play another game that therefore bolsters your resume. And I certainly can understand that. But a lot of times I feel like, are the teams that are playing in the conference championship game really benefiting? Here's an example. The Big Ten. Did we need the Big Ten championship game to know that both Ohio State and Indiana were playoff worthy? No, it really was a seeding game. Did we need the ACC championship game where Duke ends up winning, throwing everything into chaos, and we know they're most likely not going to get into the playoff coming into that game at 7-5? The SEC championship game. Alabama and Georgia played already, and now they're playing again. Was knowing that Georgia dominated Alabama a good data point that allowed us to feel comfortable with Alabama getting into the playoff? Do you see what I mean? I kind of wonder if these conference championship games are somewhat devaluing the regular season. And I wonder if going forward, these conference championship games are going to become less impactful. Do we really need them? Is it necessary to have that extra data point for some of these teams where their resume is already bolstered? Now, the argument is going to be, well, they don't always play their rivals every year. Well, these conferences should turn around and look at themselves in the mirror because this entire expansion model is the reason why that is the case. The Big Ten being so bloated is the reason why Indiana doesn't play all the good teams every year. The SEC being so bloated is the reason why Georgia maybe doesn't play all the good teams every year. Is that their fault? Or is that really the fault of this current model that is getting so large and so big that it's now becoming almost untenuous to be able to handle? The conference championship game really hasn't been all of that great, even when we had divisions. And now, with the current model, where you have what feels like a very subjective model in this playoff committee making these decisions, when the conference championship games are out there, it makes it feel like, how does the conference championship game actually play into this model? And even in cases when it doesn't, Notre Dame and Miami, they said all year that that head-to-head really didn't matter. And then all of a sudden, when the conference championship games come about, Miami ends up flipping over Notre Dame because now all of a sudden the head-to-head does matter. It's just a very strange model. And I say all of this to kind of highlight the fact that this playoff model right now seems to be a little bit broken. It seems like we don't really have a true objective measure to figure out who the top 12 best teams are. There certainly are teams that we know are objectively worthy of being in the playoff hunt. But my point is that this committee, which is made of human beings, and human beings are fallible, is making mistakes. It seems as if they're not really sure of themselves as to exactly what they value when it comes to this criteria. And I feel like the conference championship games almost overcomplicate that. But I ask you, because you might be a fan of a team that benefited from playing in their conference championship game, or you might be a team that didn't benefit from it. I want to know, how do you feel about these conference championship games in general as it relates to the totality of college football? Are they helpful or are they hurting in the current playoff model? Let me know.